Hello, this is Gerald Johan van Waas and the educational channel of demonstrations of letters and its meanings, how we respond to them, how they are constructed, how they are held together, how they form an order, how they follow an order, and why we follow the order, how we can see that what is happening, how we can change that into forms, and the whole bunch of theory that comes around it. I will not make it too difficult to in this video, because I also in this second demonstration of this kind, I'll simply demonstrate how it can be sensed what are the difference between words, and even with a subtle difference it will be difficult to make it into a theory and then prove it and then that these are meaningful and so on. But in the sensitivity we could follow it if we follow these letters as signs, as you can have, but also the formation process can help you to it, to show the differences between letters that are just slightly different as intonation, and come to a completely different meaning. How is that possible? There is actually a direction in each of these letters. For instance, in DIER, there's just 3 letters, D, I, R. We could still have a lot of variations from there. Why? Because there are pressure points, and if you press too hard, it will hurt. Almost a little bit like that. So it's almost impossible to come from this example and then show it in theory. That will be it will be possible to do so, but why not just sense it, how we can exaggerate with these directions and pressure points so that we come from DIER to DIR and DIR and deranged and DIER. It's almost all of these words are the same, and still they are directing us to something else, but the starting points is the same. Let's first go to the sign. We have D. That's what I already said. So we have D. We sense something, and we take a small distance from it. So we say, oh yeah, we sense it, and I take a distance. That's the D, basically. If we combine it with the E, that you sense something, and you say, okay, here, I might be able to use this. DIER. Or it is distincting itself like this. So you can use it as a distinctive idea from it. But by putting the circle in it, it's circling back to itself. So how far does this go, this self? How much will it be circling around it? That's the difference between the intonation combination, which you cannot learn, but you can sense it. Let's first go to the Dutch word dier, which means animal. So what is actually referred in dier? So we have di. So you actually pinpoint somewhere that you can point out, oh yeah, I have here a deer, which is own environment. So that's basically what it does. It gives distance, put it out, and it have its own environment. With the multiplication into dieren, it will be more easy to show you, like DIR. So you have dier, not a deer, dieren. So I take it out, and I almost pull them together like strings. In forms, you could show this as follows. You have this, so you have these individual things you take out, and they belong to the same group. So DIER, DIERen. So you have them together in a form. You can understand that. You can understand why this which is n as a sound, meaning is you take something out, and because you can use it over a certain time. I, you take something out that is different. The r is it has a range of activity here around itself, and the d is you have a distinctive thing that even moves and changes in direction. This is a theory. This can help you, but you can also simply sense it. You have the DIER with its own environment, or the DIERen. I take it out. Just sense all of it. What's the difference with DIER then? So we start back from DIER. Take something out, which apparently lives in its own environment. That's what we have. But with the word when it is expressed and written, expressed as DIER, but expressed as we have a different focus. The focus of is there. So it's DIER. So it's there. It will be wider. But as DIER, of course, the written as it will have focuses that are taking out at different positions as well, as you can imagine it, because of taking out, because you know that it is. So when you have DIER, do you know more or less the range of where it is? The DIER has a wider range of connections, which connects to different positions. But the DIER, we know, it has a focus on its own. It has his focus. It's also surrounding at his focus, but it's surrounding it actually on top of it. Accidentally, E is then mostly higher as tone, but we associate it. The DIER is the same thing, surrounded in its own space, but it also has this white, you see it's coming out and has a certain range. It's also the range of how it is presenting itself. Different is DIER. My DIER is where is this surrounding going? It's with so it will go back from the from the area, from energy which is trying to spread, back to the or its own environment. So we go back to with the DIER, how it is written. DIER, we said already, we push it already back to its center, so the full circle is closing again. The full circle is not spreading just so, but it's spreading. It's going to spread further and further. Like with the DIER, with the here, the DIER, we press it also, when we say DIER, we also press the starting point, the DIER, and we close the circle back to our center, to what we sense. And even if it's spreading larger than ourselves, it's coming back to what we sense as well. So, as you can sense in my DIER, the R's are always making connections, and the connections are based upon context and so on. You can have the context out of it very easily by the other letters, but the R itself will connect to the area in which it is involved. So in the DIER, it's this small area. With the DIER, it's a larger area. And with the DIER, it comes back to our own area. Don't exaggerate by adding more and more connections wherever it can go, or you will become deranged. Of course, then you will have even so many connections that is no longer needed. It's a disadvantage with the R. It can connect. You don't have to overreact with it, of course. Don't. If we want to limit ourselves to what really matters, go to the basics. It's the DIER and DIR, and what belongs to that area. It's you can take it out and emphasize what has to be taken out, and then it's DIER, and it's from you. It's from you. Yeah, DIER. It belongs to you. I'm sure it's DIER. I give it. I with all my heart. I say it's yours. DIER. DIER. It's up to itself, and it circles in its own thing. It's DIER. It's from a. It belongs to its own center point. It's DIER. It belongs to its own center point. You see, there are a couple of differences backed by the theory. You can read in what is written about the R. The R connects according to context what you can use. Yeah, that's quite fake, but it connects, and it connects in its environment. It also reestablishes a process that it can have an interconnection, an interaction there. It's meant for that. It's meant for the interactions. How far does these interactions go? With the DIER, or the DIER, or DIER? It's all a bit smaller, a bit smaller, stronger, larger. Take it as long as you like, but don't become deranged because you take too much connections there. But it can be backed by theory, but you can also simply sense it and see the variations, how far it will go. Back it up by what I wrote before and understand each individual letters, but a little bit more is needed there as well to sense and make the connections that are also needed, especially for the letters of the last category, where you have to interpret to what extent it is able to connect, to which areas will it connect with the R. It's a bit more with the E as well. So you take an idea out, you take it out, you find it interesting, but for what are you going to use this idea? It's also not fixed. It's just at this moment with DIER, it's a moment of notice. You notice it's somewhere else. With the E, it's always somewhere else. You notice it. Oh yeah, it's there. You take it out. You sense it. You take a distance. It has its own environment and activity there. You have the DIER in all of its variations as you have it expressed here. Repeat this a little bit more, exaggerate a little bit more, compare it to the theory also a couple of times. You will understand it from different levels. It's not a coincidence that we use these letters, that they are used sometimes and bring us to different contexts. That can happen, especially with and especially more in a bigger range when you use these last couple of letters of complexity logically, as it is. How they are also described, what they can do and be. Anyhow, I hope that was enough to give you an extra idea what you can do with these things. Could you also sense these elements? I hope you did. Anyhow, thanks for watching. This was Gerald van Maas again. Bye bye.